So there have been a bunch of articles on trust that are really important. In 1995, Meyer, Davis, and Skurman wrote a theory paper on trust that introduced integrity, competence, and benevolence as the three critical elements of trust. Prior to 1995, there had been very little research on trust for no good reason. Early 60s and 70s, there was a lot of work on personality and trust propensities and how likely it is someone will trust. And, people would answer questions like, I believe most people are honest, and other questions like that. And they would try and relate people's responses to those to their behavior. And there were moderate predictability, but not very impressive. I think that's kind of why the research on trust dissipated after the early 70s. Meyer, Davis, and Skurman were great at coming up with a very noteworthy article that said, let's start studying trust again. And I think that the timing was simply right. And so since the 90s, there's been an enormous amount of work. Gary Ellen Fine in our sociology department has written a book on the Minnesota Mycological Society. These are mushroom hunters. And one of the things that he focuses on in this book that relates to trust is that new members of the society, after they've gone out mushroom hunting, they come back, they cook their mushrooms and eat them. New members will eat other people's mushrooms when they haven't even met the other person. Old members will not. So new members want to join, want to become part of the group, want to become members, want to be well thought of. So they say yes when they're offered mushrooms that they don't recognize by someone they've never met. It's pretty darn dangerous. People don't choose theirs and are easier to pass it up when they're already established members. Pretty cool. So the first paper on attributions of trust and the calculus of reciprocity, one of my favorite article titles. Madan Palutla and Deepak Malhotra and I varied how much trusters trusted and then observed how much trustees responded, and found very clear indications that the more you trust, the more people respond and reciprocate, especially when they think you're doing it in a smart way. That was one of our first studies, and I just thought very neat and clean, and tells us a lot about the trust reciprocation process.